It was the year 1986. Maradona had just led Argentina to the World Cup title. And alongside him was Bruno Passarelli, a journalist documenting the first few months of his life after that historic performance. As they walked towards the Napoli training grounds, the fans, excited, went wild, shouting over and over again, "Maradona! Maradona is better than Pelé." However, something in Diego's face showed a certain distance, which led Passarelli to wonder what was wrong. It was then that Maradona uttered the words that would start one of the greatest mysteries in sports history. These fans are brilliant, but what they don't know is that there is a player even better than Pelé and me. His name is Jorge González, El Mágico. He plays for Cádiz. The journalist, shocked, looked at Maradona for a second before asking who this man was. But Diego couldn't be bothered to explain with words. He knew no description would do him justice. Instead, he simply said, "Go and discover him, you ignorant man." If you're a true football fan, you've probably heard that name, El Mágico González. If you visit Pachuca, Mexico, you'll find an iconic building shaped like a football, the International Football Hall of Fame. Inside, you'll see statues of legends like Maradona, Pelé, Ronaldo, Zidane, Beckenbauer, and among those familiar names, one lesser known, Jorge El Mágico González. His name seems to keep appearing time and again in history, as if it's impossible to forget. Several players from that era confirmed his amazing talent. Carlos Valderrama once said he was convinced that Mágico was an alien, while Manolo Bueno claimed he was so good that he even made it look like Maradona was playing with a limp. And that's not all. There was a time when Mágico González was the only living footballer to have a stadium named after him. Jorge González became a myth, the player who could have been the best in the world but didn't want to be. His face, however, remains etched in the memory of those who were lucky enough to see him play, even long after his retirement. In his own country, El Salvador, there are those who claim to have seen him as a taxi driver. They say that if someone recognized him and asked if it was him, his usual reply would be, "There are no magicians who do magic. I drive a taxi." This story leaves us with an intriguing question. Where did it all go wrong? Interestingly, part of the answer is linked to Maradona. In 1984, they played together at Barcelona, but their relationship on the field was not entirely good, and off the pitch, things were even more chaotic. On one occasion, while the team was staying at a hotel in California, Maradona decided to set off the fire alarm in the middle of the night as a joke. However, somehow, Mágico ended up being the only one punished for the whole incident. Before this episode, making it to Barcelona had been an impressive achievement, especially considering the context in which Mágico was born. If you're born in El Salvador, the chances of reaching European football are minimal. Yet Jorge González was simply different. At 16, he was already debuting in his country's professional league, and before he was 18, he moved to FAS for 60,000 colones, a staggering amount for that time, even more so for a teenager. Club Deportivo FAS was a team with a rich history. But their last league title had been 16 years before Mágico's arrival. His joining changed all that. During the 5 years he spent at the club, he led them to win 4 league titles, becoming a key figure. Not only that, in his second year, he also guided them to the CONCACAF Champions Cup title, making FAS the best team in all of Central and North America. That historic campaign almost culminated in victory in the Inter-American Cup against Olimpia, the Copa Libertadores champions. Although they didn't win, Mágico González was already a legendary figure in El Salvador. His talent seemed magical, and the entire country was convinced they were witnessing an extraordinary player. In 1980, Mágico was called up to join El Salvador's national team for the Spain 1982 World Cup qualifiers. Against all odds, the team advanced with just one defeat, securing second place in the table, which gave them the chance to compete in the World Cup. Jorge González became the top scorer in the qualification tournament, even surpassing Hugo Sanchez, scoring 5 goals in 7 matches. The following year, when the CONCACAF Championship finally arrived, they knew that if they finished in the top 2, they would qualify for the World Cup. To everyone's surprise, They beat Mexico for the first time in 26 years, securing their spot in the World Cup. This triumph was the culmination of a brilliant campaign, led by the talent and genius of Mágico González. However, the 1982 World Cup would be a bitter experience for Mágico and El Salvador. Despite high expectations, the team was defeated 10-1 in their first match, one of the heaviest defeats in the tournament's history. Although some tried to justify the loss by claiming that their training facilities had been stolen before the match, the humiliation was hard to digest. Despite the embarrassing defeat, Mágico González stood out individually. Even in the loss, his quality shone through, and some newspapers named him the best player of the match. It was during this tournament that teams across Europe began to take an interest in him. Clubs such as Atlético de Madrid, Fiorentina, Atalanta, and even Paris Saint-Germain tried to sign him after the World Cup. But Mágico always found an excuse to reject their offers. When PSG pursued him again, he claimed that he didn't like the traffic, the food, the language, or the French in general. Ultimately, he ended up signing for Cádiz, a modest team in Spain's second division. Why Cádiz? Mágico said he liked the city, the relaxed atmosphere, and the flamenco. However, even in Cádiz, his erratic behavior continued. He arrived 20 days late for his official presentation, and when he finally showed up, the club had to send the police to find him in Madrid, where he was enjoying the nightlife with a friend. His time at Cádiz was marked by constant disciplinary issues. He often arrived late to training, and sometimes even slept in the changing room. However, his teammates and coaches adored him. He was charismatic, fun, and most importantly, his talent on the pitch was undeniable. The team and coaching staff tried everything to get Mágico to arrive on time for training. On one occasion, the coach bought him a Donald Duck alarm clock that quacked until he woke up. On another, they sent a band to his house like something out of a movie to make sure he got up. Despite everything, Mágico always had a witty response. When the coach asked him to run more, he would reply, "Running is for cowards." If they asked him to head the ball, he'd say, "The head is for thinking, not for hitting a ball." Despite his behavior off the field, Mágico González was unstoppable on it. His dribbling, vision, and ability to do the impossible with the ball turned him into a legend at Cádiz. The fans adored him, and the club greatly benefited from his presence. Throughout his career, Mágico was an enigma, a player who could have been the best in the world if he had a more focused mindset. But perhaps that's what made him so special. His irreverence, his disregard for conventions, and his desire to enjoy football his way, without external pressures. While most football legends are defined by their success in major tournaments and achievements at top European clubs, Mágico González never reached the pinnacle of worldwide recognition. Nevertheless, his style of play, his technique with the ball, and his ability to create magic on the pitch have earned him a place among the most admired players, particularly in countries like Spain and his home country, El Salvador. Mágico González possessed an innate ability to play football, something even the best players in history recognize. Diego Maradona, considered by many to be the greatest of all time, once said of him, "If Mágico González had wanted to, he would have been better than me." This statement from Maradona, a contemporary of the Salvadoran, reflects the immense talent Mágico had, a talent few players could match. González was famous for his incredible ball control, impossible dribbling, and almost supernatural game vision. He could do things with the ball that seemed to defy logic, which made him a spectacle for those lucky enough to see him in action. During his time at Cádiz CF, he became a legend not only for what he did with the ball but for how he did it, with a relaxed, almost mocking style, yet brilliant at the same time. While other players focused on training and refining their skills to the maximum, Magico seemed to have a nearly casual relationship with football. He was said to often miss training and lack the same level of discipline as his teammates, but when he stepped onto the pitch, he transformed into a completely different player. He didn't need the rigorous physical and mental preparation that many others required. His talent was so natural that, with or without training, he could dominate the game. This carefree approach to the sport set him apart from other football stars. Magico played for pure enjoyment. Without the pressure of winning trophies or breaking records. In fact, it is this very mentality that many believe prevented him from reaching his full potential and gaining the global recognition his talent deserved. But for those who knew him and saw him play, this carefree attitude was also what made him unique. His most notable club success was at Cádiz CF, where he became a true idol and legend. He played for Cádiz during the 1980s, a small club struggling to stay in Spain's first division. Although the team wasn't competing for titles, Mágico González's presence on the pitch packed the stadiums. Fans didn't come to see Cádiz win matches. They came to see the magic of Mágico. During his time in Cádiz, he created countless brilliant moments, from dribbling past multiple defenders to scoring impossible goals. However, off the pitch, his life was as eccentric as his play. He was known for arriving late to training, his love for partying and nightlife, and his rejection of the strict discipline demanded by professional football. Despite his behavior off the field, he never stopped being a genius on it. His ability to enchant the fans and his knack for doing the unexpected made him a cult figure in Spain. Even today, decades after his retirement, Ramón de Carranza Stadium continues to witness chants and tributes in his honor. So why isn't Mágico González as famous as other football greats like Pelé, Maradona, or Johan Cruyff? There are several reasons, many of which are related to his attitude towards football and his personal life. Firstly, Mágico never played for a big European team. Although he played in Spain's league, it was with a small team like Cádiz, limiting his international exposure. Many of the players considered among the best in history, like the aforementioned, had brilliant careers at top clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid, or Manchester United, which gave them greater visibility and more opportunities to win important titles. Moreover, Mágico never had a prominent presence on the international stage. His national team, El Salvador, wasn't a football powerhouse, and while he did participate in the 1982 World Cup, the team didn't perform well. This contrasts with players like Maradona, whose role in Argentina's 1986 World Cup victory was key to his legendary status. Finally, Mágico's lifestyle also worked against him. While many football greats are known for their dedication and hard work, Mágico was the complete opposite. His love for partying, lack of discipline, and carefree attitude towards training distanced him from football's elite. It is even said that he rejected offers from major European clubs because he didn't want to give up his relaxed lifestyle in Cádiz. Despite all this, Mágico González remains an iconic figure for those who saw him play. He represents the purity of football, a player who played for the love of the game, without the pressure of multimillion-dollar contracts or public expectations. His talent was undeniable, and although he never reached the global status of other great players, those who know him consider him one of the best to ever touch a ball. Mágico is the player who could have been, in the words of many, the best in history if he had taken a more serious approach to his career. His legacy is a mix of awe at what he achieved and melancholy at what he could have been. But perhaps that's what makes him so special. The feeling that his magic was something unique, something that couldn't be repeated in the rigid structures of modern football. In conclusion, although Mágico González doesn't have the global fame that other players have, his impact on those who saw him play is indelible. He is remembered not just for what he did with the ball, but for how he did it. With a unique style, seemingly effortless, as if magic was at his disposal every time he stepped on the pitch. And for many, that is the true essence of football. Today, Mágico González remains a legend, not only in El Salvador and Cádiz, but in the football world as a whole. Though he never achieved the global fame of players like Maradona or Pelé, those who saw him play know that he was one of the greatest. This has been all for today. Thank you for watching our video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for our next exciting content about the world of sports. If you have any questions or suggestions, Leave them in the comments. See you next time.